listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
I think everyone's ready. Okay. Lately, I've been fucking up when it comes to something, whether it's the audio or the video or something, but I think we're good to go. Welcome.
Love it. So excited.
How are you?
Good.
I was going to go back and look and see what episodes you were on back in the day, because it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit. We did...
I don't even remember, do you?
Yeah, we brought Dani last time.
Do you remember what number it was?
I couldn't tell you. I don't even know where I am right now.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was last year, though. It hasn't been this year. Wasn't it like last summer, last fall, something like that? Either way, this is Kory. He's guest hosting this week. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we haven't caught up in quite a while.
No.
Your life has completely changed.
Yeah. So is yours, it sounds like.
In some ways, right?
In some ways.
Yeah. Everything always changes.
Yeah. I'm like out of the loop. I haven't been doing podcasts. I haven't really been watching shows. It's just work and school. So
if you don't mind, obviously, I probably should have given you the, not the caveat, the, I don't remember, but we don't have to fucking talk about something. If I ask you, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But, you left your career.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And I'd kind of been talking about it
when
we
remember,
were here.
Yeah.
I was like alluding to it, but I wasn't ready to leap.
But it's such a huge leap.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what you did.
Yeah. So from the last time when I was on, I was just talking about doing flight as a flight medic. And, you know, we talked a lot about law enforcement with you and the paradigm, you know, and the parallels and how it can eat you up. And I was really there too. I was really burned out pretty bad. And so I'm actually diving into IT, doing that full-time school, and then working. And I just left. I just put in my resignation and got a job. And the sad thing that really was eye-opening is 13 years as a medic and up to the level of flight, I make pretty comparable to what I did there as entry-level IT.
Fuck.
Which really makes you stop and just go, you know, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not what hurts. It's not just the money, but it's just something about it. Just, you know, like on the local gig that I still have that I'm kind of part-time, my son who just got out of high school, who throws boxes at Amazon, makes more per hour than I do at that job. And that really just makes you stop and go, wow, you know, am I going to go give up 24 hours and do this away from my family for, you know?
So you were a flight medic. You had 13 years in the profession up to that point, and you quit and you go, like you said, you go get an entry-level job. Isn't it like IT stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
you're making comparable to what you were then.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the hourly rate, it's not, but I work at home. I don't have to commute, no wear and tear on my car, no fuel. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. And I'm not banking on all this overtime that's built into my schedule all the time, being gone all the time, driving 4 hours to work. You know, you add all of that stuff in, and I'm definitely our paychecks are the same with what I was blowing on stuff for work, you know, and then just the wear and tear on your body and your mind.
How long ago was it? A few months?
May, I want to say. April, May was right when I finally just put in an application. I was just like, I'm just going to put my toe in the pond and, you know, dunk it a little.
Yeah.
And I got a call back. And then they had an interview. And then it was like, hey, we need this paperwork. Hey, we need that paperwork. Hey, we want to give you a job. I'm like, oh, crap. And then it was intimidating because I'm like, I don't know any of this. You know, like I've worked with computers. Like I can do stuff, but I don't think I'm like the amazing computer guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now I have this job working as tech, as the help desk. I'm like, oh, no. So then it's super intimidating. And matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I just got a promotion and I'm on level 2 now. So I've already made a promotion in under 5 months. And I'm just like, this is insane. It's insane, you know. It's just crazy. It's way crazy.
How did it feel? How did it feel leaving that career?
I'm really, really torn.
Yeah.
Really torn. Because I find myself looking at it and looking at all the things I hated, But then I really have held on to the things that I did enjoy. You know, those few instances when you really truly help somebody. That's awesome. You know, and I think the second most favorable thing was when you have somebody new, bright-eyed and brand new, and you can kind of take them under your wing and help them and train them and help them do well and see them do things. That's awesome. It's funny timing. So today I actually applied for a medic job. I just put in an app just on a whim.
Why?
Well, so it's with and I'm not going to like go deep into where it is, but it's just a totally different system. It's within an hour of here, and I'm simply going to go to the interview and see what they're doing. Because I think a lot of it was a lot of the politics
from
involved, the other place, and just going through all the steps that I've done here locally. There was just a lot of that, and it would be different depending on how this other system would be, on what it could be.
Yeah,
you know, because I think you find yourself like drawn to kind of where you're meant to be, what you're meant to be doing. And it's simply, to me, I'm looking at it like it's just an interview. That's it.
Oh, I don't know though. That's what the IT thing was, right? I just could fill out an application. I'll just fucking dip my toe in the water and see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna go meet with them, and that'll be tomorrow. So,
do you have any? I mean, May isn't that long ago. That's what, like 5 months ago,
yeah.
4 or 5 months ago. Do you have any awareness of like the stress relief that isn't there, and like the come down from that high level of a job all the time?
Yeah. And I think you and I talked about that a lot. Like, didn't you feel that, like that weight that comes off? Like when you put on your duty belt and your sidearm and your Kevlar and all your stuff, and you're in the car and you start pulling into the neighborhoods, you turn into a different person. You're like, I'm the cop, Craig, you know, or like I go put on my flight gear. It's like, I'm the flight medic. And you feel that kind of come off, and that responsibility. And Dani has noticed, I've noticed, and if you didn't listen, Dani's my wife, but she's noticed being home at night has been huge. Every night I sleep in my own bed. And that's something I've kind of bounced around too, is like, you know, we're going to be moving in a few years. So I've kind of got short timers. I've kind of got this idea of where I'm just like, I'm just going to do what sounds good in the moment. As long as I'm putting money in the bank, I don't really care. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to school. So I just don't care that much. Like, I'm not looking at these places like I'm going to work at this financial institution until I'm 80. Like, no, not even, you know. And same thing with the EMS job. Like, it wouldn't be a forever. It'd be 2, maybe 3 years tops. Yeah. So it's just,
I want to like tie something around your ankle and not let you leave the house or something.
I think Dani feels the same way.
Yeah, I think it's so nice to be, I mean, you were and are somebody that is uniquely designed to excel at that job, right? Not everybody is. Not everybody has what it takes in order to do that job.
Yeah.
And you're one of them that had, like, for whatever reason, you had all the skill sets available to excel and do really, really good at that job. But it comes at a cost, and you paid that cost, like that price, over and over and over and over and over again for years and years and years. And I mean, from where I'm sitting and from what I know about you, I'm like, fuck that. Like, you don't owe anything anymore. And the idea that you have to, I know it's not a sense of obligation or anything like that, but it's like, just relax and enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no reason to go back into those spaces anymore. There's nothing, I don't know. I just think, like, anytime I hear anybody that gets out of that first responder field of work, whether it's law enforcement or EMS or whatever it is, I'm like so grateful, and I'm like, just enjoy and relax, because it comes at such a cost to the person, and you don't really see it, and you don't really recognize it, and you don't realize it until like you're out, or it's too late or something, right? So I wouldn't go back. Don't go back.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Well, see, and I appreciate that. I really do, because that's not something I pride myself on not being that guy that's, you know, I'm the best of the best, whatever. I don't ever think that. But I've heard that from a lot of people, you know, and it was in times when it wasn't like a social obligation to tell me, oh, you're good at this. It was just like, they're like, you're leaving, you're one of the ones we actually like. Why are you leaving? And I'm like, well, it sucks, you know, like, and I think a lot of it is getting too sucked in, you know, the moth to the flame, like you get too close. And there's just always going to be that part of me, I think, that's always drawn to, I guess, trying to be in those places when you can help, you know, and I don't know what that's going to look like in 5 years, you know, because I've been watching all the stuff up in Washington State where we've been looking at moving, and they posted an ambulance medic job for critical care medics, but it was a ground and it was right in the area. And I went to Dani, I'm like, I could apply for that. And she's like, I can't leave yet. I'm still doing school. I'm like, damn it.
And you could probably get it.
And I'm like, you know, at least could put my name in the hat, but there's no feasible way to move right now.
Yeah.
Because she's in school. So I was even drawn to that, you know, and I'm looking at all the areas of where I can work and what I can do, you know, and I don't know. I don't know if maybe it'll end up being like some kind of hybrid thing I try to do where I work with an agency that doesn't have any tech, and I, you know, kind of fill in as a medic and still do it, but it's not all the time. And I try to build the tech side of that, you know, and improve an agency that way. And that's kind of what I'm looking at with this other agency. Is it the way it's looking is it reminds me of our local agency like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of behind the ball. And if I could step into that and help build it for a few years before I leave, to me, that might be great. If it looks really lame and a lot of politics, no thanks.
Yeah.
You know,
I think there's something, because I was just thinking what it is about those people that are uniquely designed to do those positions. Because, I mean, you have to have some like craziness to you, right? You have to have some sort of adrenaline addiction, because there is an aspect of it that, you know, you excel in times of chaos. And I mean, that's just straight adrenaline junkie, where it's like, give me as much crazy as you possibly can, and I swallow it whole and still continue to move forward when other people can't. But then also I think it's a heart. Like, you have a really, really, really big loving heart. And I think those two things combined are what make you just such a good medic. But you can do so much more with that stuff. It's just like, don't chase that adrenaline anymore. And your heart is, you know, slowly being eaten away by trauma. And
it is, and it is hard, and you don't realize the toll when you're grinding through it, you know, you don't. It's hard. I mean, and the other thing for when I kind of moved to IT, another big push of it was the all of this year from January through, it was just nonstop, extremely bad patient outcomes with the crew that I was working with, just us. And it wasn't anything we were doing. It was just simply, you know, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just, those were the patients we were getting. Like, we literally couldn't get them from the hospital bed into the helicopter, or we couldn't get them off the scene and into the helicopter with a heartbeat. Like, we were doing everything we could, you know, and those are hard. Those are the hardest, you know, the interfacility stuff that's, you know, kind of routine, and, you know, that stuff, it's okay. Doesn't hurt you, but the ones when you're losing them all the time, and that's what just really beat me up. And maybe I'm just at the point where I've kind of recharged my batteries a little bit, you know, got a little bit more pep in my step. And
I think I'm going to tie you up. Better bust your kneecaps or something.
Don't do it. I don't know. That's the draw, because I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree. Once you're out, you're out.
Yeah,
but
there's a part that's torn. Like just itching. I remember, because I went through a lot of like love-hate with fucking law enforcement over the years, especially after I got fired. But there were times where I would like perk up when I would see an officer on a traffic stop. And as we're driving by, it wasn't like rubbernecking to see what was going on. It was, I always had these what-if scenarios of having to stop and help. And so I used to, I don't really do it much anymore. It's kind of gone every now and then. It'll kind of rear its ugly head, but I would watch in my rearview mirror for as long as I possibly could, because I had all of these just terrible fucking scenarios where the officers engage in some sort of fight or a shootout or something, you know, crazy's happening, and I have to pull over and engage and help and do all this shit. And it's so funny because, like, I'm not going, I mean, it's not to say I wouldn't do that and I wouldn't help. Obviously I would help, but it's not going to happen. Like I could go by, 1,000 more traffic stops, or I'll see people, sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll see officers talking to somebody like in the airport or something like that. And I used to kind of like hang out for a minute and just see, kind of get a gauge for what it was like and see if maybe they were going to need help or something. And it's like, who the fuck are you kidding?
At some point, you just don't want to be sucked into it.
I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no desire whatsoever, unless it like literally drops in front of me out of nowhere and I have no other option than to engage and to help. I'm not going to, because I have zero fucking desire to. And all the reasons why it's not a good idea to, right?
Yeah.
Like the huge list of liabilities and dangers and issues and things like that. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, none of that really fucking matters. I'll jump out, run over there in barefoot, kick somebody's ass, help the cop get somebody in handcuffs. And
that's just rare. And I think where you've been, you'll always do that. Like I know guys that just carry these big, huge med packs in their car, and they're like, I could do chest tubes and I could do all these crazy things. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
On what planet? Like the best thing you might do is like CPR, and that anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And stop some bleeding or open somebody's airway. And that's super basic. And that's the best you can do. And that's great. But you don't drive around looking for it. Like I don't drive by anymore and like watch the ambulance. And I'm like, ooh, should I pull over? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Just keep driving.
Don't
go back.
It's just hard.
I know. What if there is something, I always think we are right where we're supposed to be, right? So it doesn't really matter what option or what you choose to do, because it's the right choice. So you left back in May. If you choose to go back to some, other aspect of the field in the next couple of months, or you don't, or this IT job grows into this, that, it doesn't really matter, because you're always right where you're supposed to be. But I still think that there is some level of like, it's not to say that everything is like predetermined and it doesn't really matter and free will isn't a thing. I just think that regardless of the choice that we make, it's always the right choice. And if you choose to go back, that's fine, obviously. But I think, what about that other dimension, that other set of possibilities that didn't open up this go around, or maybe they won't open up for 5 more years or something like that, that had you not, or, maybe you don't, then you find that next thing, or you see that next thing, or something else happens that you're not aware of because you ended up going back. Or what if you go back and you get sucked in for another 10 years? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they sweet talk you and everything's nice and everything's great. And next thing you know, you've got 10 more fucking years in the field.
No, it's true.
It's definitely dangerous.
True. It is.
Like it's so hard on people. You know that.
It is.
It's so hard.
It is. But I've kind of been that person since I was 16, 15.
Yeah. Let's find the new Kory.
And I think I'm at that crossroads, like, because I would talk to you a lot more about it, that my own personal change, that own personal Rubicon, where I've just kind of turned a lot of stuff away and made different decisions and changed. And that's part of it. This has all been part of it, but I'm really at this place where I've let go of all of the baggage that goes with it. All of the, should I be doing it? Am I supposed to be helping people? Am I, that's all. What is the purpose of it? No matter how you slice it, it's selfish. Everything in this world is selfish. When you want to be a cop, at some point it comes down to you want to have some form of power, right? But you also maybe want to use that to help some people or get some dirtbags off the street that are raping or hurting people, and doing these negative things. But there is an element of selfishness, and it's very deep in the EMS and fire community. You see it in the t-shirts all the time. I have to walk around with my t-shirt on all the time. I meet you, I have to tell you within the first 2 minutes I'm a fireman, or I'm a medic. I have to just plaster everything everywhere. That's the selfishness.
What is help me understand, because in law enforcement, it is that like superiority complex where you have to, not have to, but like you said, it attracts the people that want to be in charge and have power and make those decisions, right? And what is like the complex in EMS, like some sort of savior complex where you're going to be obviously rescuing people and saving people?
Definitely. It's just hero. To me, in my brain, it's just this hero complex, this huge, massive hero complex. And for me, a lot of this journey over this past, and it's truly actually been the past couple of years, has really been shedding that. Everything was about titles. I'm going to be, first it was I'm an EMT, then I'm going to be a medic. Now I'm a fireman. Now I'm a fire medic. Then it was like, holy crap, I'm a fire captain. That means something. And then it was like, well, I'm going to be a flight medic. That's like the big dog. And in all of this, I started to realize that it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. It's an idea in your head. It's it's the selfishness in you. It's that idea that I'm a hero. I'm somehow better than someone else. And we're not. Doesn't matter what job you do. You're just not. You're just a person doing what you do to exist. Like, we live in this world where you have to work, and hopefully you find something you're happy doing. And it's shedding that, like, on every level. And that's probably been the hardest thing, is truly letting all that crap go.
What's the ugly side of like that hero complex? What did you see kind of play out over the years in some of the other people and stuff like that, where it gets to be way out of balance, right? And it goes way over here to this other end of the spectrum where I don't even know, like, what does that look like?
I think in each different field, each different kind of grouping, it's the same. It just manifests maybe a little bit differently. You get this idea like a tribe, and it happens with cops where you'll watch them. If they're only around another cop and they look down at their camera and they all know their little red lights off, they're bullshitting and talking, and they're with their tribe. As soon as someone else walks up, boom, you're back into cop mode. And you know that feeling of like, I just can't trust these other people. They're not a part of my group. They don't have my back. Mm-hmm. There's that feeling of almost like us versus them.
There were so many times where you'd walk up on somebody and be like, "Are you recording?" And they'd be like, "No, I'm good." And then
you look down,
fucking talk freely.
And I had tons of instances where I'd walk up and be cracking stupid ass jokes, and the cop would like smack me, like, and then they'd point at their like, "Shut up." Mm-hmm. And as soon as it was off, they'd be like, "Haha, that was really funny." And so with fire, there's this tribe of just, it doesn't matter what you actually do. You've somehow got the title. I'm a firefighter. Like, I am just this hero. And a lot of it, you're not. You're not. You're out putting out grass fires. It's not threatening anybody's house. You're just breathing smoke, breathing poison. And a lot of things that really mattered were the little things and those little interactions where we can make somebody's day better, or fix a situation, keep someone safe on the freeway. There was lots of times I pulled the engine behind a cop scene so that a car wouldn't hit him. Little things. But there's that whole idea that I'm now going to blast it all over everything. And that now becomes who you are. And you kind of lose the other people in your world because now you only have that tribe. And then with the medical side, the EMS side, it felt more like people get this God complex is what it felt like. So there's like the power with the law enforcement side. Like, I have some power. I can arrest you. I can put you in handcuffs and take you. I can tell you what to do. And on the fire side, it's more of just like, I am it. I am awesome. I can do all these cool things.
I am awesome.
I am awesome. And then in the EMS side, it just starts to come out as like this God complex, like where I kick, death in the nuts and I saved you.
Yeah.
But the truth is, how many times in a calendar year working full time do you truly save someone? 5, 4. I mean, not that many. I mean, you get into a busier system, you're doing more things. But overall, it's not like day in, day out, nonstop, 24/7. I'm just a life-saving machine. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. You're full of shit. And at some point, you take that shit off and you go home.
Yeah.
You're just a dude. doing dude shit. You know, we're 10 hairs away from being a baboon. Like, and that's where I've been shedding a lot of that shit, and I'm just done.
What do you think is the biggest, maybe the biggest thing that you've shed, or the biggest change that you've had over the last few years? Like, what do you see personally as the biggest shift and change in yourself?
My biggest shift has been my focus. Since I left, I worked at Home Depot as a manager, and I decided I'm going to be a fire. I'm going to do fire. That was it. That was the whole idea, is I'm just going to get into fire. I'm going to be a hero. So I left, started working in a lumberyard, actually, and that was actually pretty fun. Cool job. And then I went to school at night and did my EMT. That minute, I've been constantly focused on the title. It's been a title after a title after a title. And I think we all do that as people. We do. We get stuck in that hamster wheel and don't realize, like, what is it even that you're doing, or why?
Yeah.
And that's been the shift. Is it, I could give a shit what the title is. Like doing IT, if I'm level 1, level 2 service, or it doesn't matter. I don't care. You know, I go somewhere and work EMS. I don't care what color the patch is on my shirt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, if I'm getting to do something that's making me happy at that time and I feel like it's good and it's not overwhelming my whole world like it has been for 20 years, then that's what I'm going to do.
Do you feel like you replaced that desire to chase that title or to chase the next thing with something else? Like, do you feel like you just have, I'm not saying you have, I don't know. Have you switched it to something else in some other way, shape, or form now?
I think I've let it go. It's not that it's replaced with something. I'm just willing to see the brutal, harsh, sad reality. And that's what people don't want to do. You don't want to realize that. I mean, you could work, 20 years, 30 years and retire as whatever that was super important. And the day you sign off, like as a cop, your final sign off is like a huge deal. You get on the radio, you say goodnight, God bless, but it's a big deal. And then you go home and all of a sudden you're not a cop anymore. You do that and now you're just Joe Schmo. You're just that dude playing golf. And a lot of people can't do that. It kills them, whether you're, the fire battalion chief for so many years or the best medic doing this thing or whatever your title is. People can't do that. And it's just shedding that and realizing, like, the people that matter are the people that are in my life that actually give a shit, that call or text, and I come hang out and do podcasts. And those are the people that I could give a shit about. And the rest, you just truly have to let go. And I think that's where the brutal, harsh truth is. And that's what I've done. I've just said, I can't carry all your baggage, and I'm not going to. I don't have to. And that's why, like, with this job, it's like, if it looks like it would be a good thing, it looks like I would be happy, and it's not going to overwhelm and take over my world, I'm still going to be doing school. If I still have enough time at home, 4 days off every week at home, 5 days off a week, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
If it looks like shit, I'm going to say, no thanks. Because right now my gig is I wake up, make some coffee, log into my computer, walk downstairs. I work for 8 hours. I'm already home.
See, that's so nice.
It's really nice.
Are you going a little crazy though?
Probably. Probably.
I essentially do the same thing. I essentially work from home for the most part, right? Every now and then I have to fly somewhere and do something. But by and large, I'm sitting at the kitchen table answering emails and doing customer service shit. And I go fucking crazy. Like, it's so not, it has taken me, I'm still not to the point where I feel comfortable doing it. I really am constantly reminding myself the freedom that I have because of this, and because, I'm sitting there in my underwear drinking coffee
yeah,
and, doing whatever else I want to do while I'm technically working. And so it's just the constant reminder of, like, okay, this is allowing me to do all of these other things that I really, really care about and that I really, really love. And I have to sit down because I'm not the kind of person that wants to sit at a desk or at a kitchen table and, be on the fucking computer all day long. I just don't like it. I would much rather be doing something else. But I do get to do something else. That's the thing that I have to remind myself is the freedom that comes with it. I was going to ask you, because we sat in a men's group together, so we got into some good emotional work and into some emotional places. And what is, I'm trying to think how to phrase the question. What do you feel like is your hardest emotion to not necessarily feel, but to like allow? Like if we think of it this way, like it's easy for me to kind of, even though sometimes it's hard for me to feel, I accept that love is a thing in my life and I can allow love, or I can allow frustration or something, anger. What is the hardest emotion for you to allow to kind of exist? Like the one that not necessarily that you butt heads with all the time and kind of resist, but just like that whole idea that they're knocking at the front door, and regardless of whether or not you choose to let them in, they're not going anywhere. So at some point, that fucking emotion, the one that you really don't like feeling and the one that you don't like allowing into your life, you open up the door and it's still fucking there. So you have to eventually allow it into your space and into your life. Which one is the hardest one for you, you think?
I think you already know. And I know this, and I think that's probably the reason I've worked in EMS, is all the friends that committed suicide, dealing with all the crap with my mom, doing it, and then working in a business where you see dead people, you try to save dead people. It's that feeling of, I don't want to say blame, but it's more like responsibility, whether it's mine or not, whether it's my responsibility that all of my best friends killed themselves. That doesn't matter. And no matter how many times I try to go through it, it might take some of the sting out, but it is always there. It is always at the front door. And all of the people that I worked as hard as I could and had as many answers as I could possibly think of to try and help them, I still lost them. Or telling their family that they're dead. That's the stuff that I carry. That's the stuff at the front door. So
I'm trying to think what that emotion would be.
And I don't know that it's sadness. I think there's sadness in it. I don't know if it's resentment I'm holding towards myself, possibly. Maybe it's something to do with the responsibility of it, because I think I do hold myself responsible, whether maybe I am and maybe I'm not. There's always stuff I could have done for my friends. There's always stuff I could have done for a patient. But like you said, you're right where you're supposed to be. Doesn't that mean they're right where they're supposed to be?
Right.
I mean, that's a really negative thing to say, and that's kind of something else that's changed in the past few years. And you know this, and I was on and we talked a little bit about the whole Satanism thing. And I think a lot of that comes into play because I've let go of all of that as well. All of that whole religious side of any of that. It's all, to me, just not. It's just not. And that's my own personal belief. It's just not real. It's not something that's, there is no predetermined plan. Like you said, that regardless of what I choose, that's going to be the right answer. And I have to just say that negates the whole idea to me. It's your life is just a series of decisions. I could go out and get a glass dick and start smoking the rocks right now. And that's going to take me to the next step. That's just the decision I make.
I'm trying to think if it's grief, if it's shame, because like that responsibility that you're carrying, I don't know what that would be. Somebody that's smarter than me would have that answer, but it's like, I obviously know me, and I like to always like pick shit apart and figure out why we are that way, or like where that stems from, or what that thing is. Because I don't think I have that thing. I don't think I have the thing that, like when somebody else does something, or when something happens and I couldn't change the outcome, or the things that I hold like shame for are the things that I did. And like the things that the choices that I've made and the wrongs that I've made in my life and how they've impacted the people that I love. But if there's people around me that have taken their life, or yeah, I just don't hold any sense of like responsibility for any of that. And so I'm trying to figure out, it doesn't matter. I'll think on it.
Well, and I think for me, a lot of it, and I don't know why, I can't explain why, but I've always been able to kind of, I guess, feel what they're feeling. And I don't know if you would call it empathy, because that's more of just being able to wrap your head around it and understand it. But I mean, when I'm working with somebody's family and they're like, we're literally calling it and saying, this person's dead. We've been doing CPR for an hour. They're done. We're done. I can feel what they feel. And I wouldn't say it's anything magical or anything. It's probably just me perceiving. Yeah.
I'd say it's magical. It's definitely energy, but that's cool.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's that definite feeling, and I know you've been there.
Yeah.
And you can relate, and you truly feel it on that level. I mean, I've been in the ER rooms just bawling because it's horrible. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where it stems from. It's just that emotional response to the stimuli, and that just is burned into my brain. I don't know.
I think you feel like you have some debt that you're paying back.
Probably because I was a fucker when I was younger.
But there's some like deep-seated thing where you have to, I don't know, earn your place or earn your keep, in a sense, to be here and be alive. And if you aren't doing that, then somehow you're like not honoring what was, you know, that what has come before you or something like that. Maybe there's some aspect of it like that.
Well, and I think we all have that in some way. Some people want to reduce their carbon footprint drastically. Like, you don't want to be filling the landfill full of plastic, right? Or, you know, promoting horrible food systems that are horrible to animals. So you don't eat animals. Like, whatever your own little war is, we all have them. And I think maybe mine is simply, I have this weird desire that when I look back, when I'm an old fucker and I'm about to die, I think, you know what? I left this place better than I found it, I guess, in a way. You know, I didn't totally fuck up my kids. I mean, I did, but not totally. You know, they survived.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went to some school, and, you know, I actually tried to help some people, because I think that is one of the most unique things we can do. You know, all the rest, really, all the money in the world, the nicest house, the fanciest car, all of that horse shit, all the money, doesn't matter. It's all those little interactions that you have. And you look back and go, I kind of left it better. I think that's what I kind of carry.
So I also wanted to get your take on just the fucking state of the world right now. I don't know if you've had your head down and you've been in school and you've been changing jobs and stuff like that, but what do you see? Or maybe you don't see anything. Do you follow anything that's going on?
Yeah, no, I do.
That's kind of happening. What's the one that's pissing you off the most?
The world is gonna implode.
That's what it feels like some days, right?
We touched on this a little bit when we talked before on some of the other podcasts, and I don't think I explained very well, but I'm noticing it more and more right in our faces. Like, I watched, and we talked about the last election, and we talked about how worried I was about Trump getting back in. And that does not come from the place of like, I'm the Joe Biden drum beating, you know, Democrat. That is not it. They're all fucking criminals. Like,
yeah.
I'm not on either team, but I'm looking at, if you look at oil prices and the energy and the pollution and the number of fucking humans in existence, all of that comes down to oil, fossil fuels. That's why there's so many people in existence.
Because of fossil fuels?
Because of fossil fuels. That is, I mean, you can draw a graph, and there's some guys that do way better than I do. But if you look at the Industrial Revolution and you jump into, you know, we started burning fossil fuels for power, all the chemicals we use to grow food, all of the energy we use to transport it, all of these things all relate back to those fossil fuels. We've already surpassed peak oil. And if you're not familiar, do some research. It'll blow your fucking mind hole. But we're already on the tail end of it. That's why.
Peak oil?
Peak oil.
What's that?
So we live in, I'll steal your little ball right here.
Yeah, be careful. That's Steph's.
I'm not going to drop it. So in that ball, that's the Earth, and there's only so much oil in it. So at some point on any graph, you're going to have pumped 50% of that oil out. That's it. That's peak. You will never ever pump any more oil out of this ball that can't come in or go out. It's stuck on the planet. You hit peak oil, you're always on the down curve now. What happens when you don't have enough oil? You don't have enough energy. You don't have enough energy, you don't have enough food. You don't have enough, movement of all the goods.
So are you saying that we've reached that 50% mark and now we're on the downhill slope?
I think it was back in the 70s, actually, like 78, if I remember right.
That's what they say.
Is when that was peak oil. And when you actually follow the money, all these automotive car makers, they had the technology to make electric cars. They bought the patents from the people and threw it in a closet somewhere and sat on it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it all comes down to that whole edifice of money. And that was the other thing I was touching on is I don't understand money. It does not make sense to me. It's the biggest pyramid scheme ever. And we are dumb for being a part of it. Like it has corrupted the whole planet. Like it has turned everything into suffering almost anywhere you go. And it is the means of modern day slavery. It truly is. We sit here and argue about the stupidest shit because that's what we're fed through media. And there is a small group that does control, that has power, and all the money funnels that way. And I think really at that point, the money doesn't even matter whether it multiplies or not. It's really just a matter of these groups have all of it and you don't. And I watch people sit here and argue about, here's one of the funny things, and you've probably seen it or heard. There's the sign where the guy's like, why is my insulin $750 a month, but somebody can get Narcan for free? Did you ever ask, why is your insulin $750 a month?
Right.
And when you really look at it, none of this shit matters. What matters is how many resources are in that little planet, in that little ball. That's what we should be worried about. Clean water. Like, if we took all of the money, the resources that we've spent on every war, you would have clean water and food around the entire planet. Great hospitals, great education, art systems. I mean, you wouldn't have crime. You really wouldn't.
Yeah, all of those things that we're trying to solve, right? And it's like, God, how do we solve these things? And if only we had more money, we have more than enough money and resources to solve all of those.
And it's not even money.
Things.
Money truly, when you let go of that idea, does not exist. It's an idea. Like, we've got to the point where money is digital. Your paycheck is digital. It's deposited digitally. You never actually see it. You go to the store and you swipe a card and your money is gone. Like, you don't realize that you are doing this for literally nothing. It's just the way you survive. And you're a modern day slave. We all are a part of the system. All of us. And how do you break something like that down? It's not about Democrat, Republican, abortion, no abortion, any of this crap. It's really about and we're seeing it more, people talking about global warming, climate change, all the pollution, how many species are in, like, basically they're either extinct or goddamn near extinction because of us pumping all these chemicals out. And all of this stuff comes from the whole system is geared towards profit. And profit only goes one way. And it sucks because it's not the conspiracy theory of there's this little group of the cabal that goes and hides in a room and they want to take over your whole. It's not about that. It's just the people that have lots of money, have a lot of influence, and they want power. And there's power and influence in that. And of course, we live in a system that is built to keep that up. When you talk about an election in a democracy, but it's based off of how many dollars you drive, that should tell you that the only thing that's ever going to be driven is more dollars to the people giving you. It's just a big circle. And to dive deeper into that, Noam Chomsky, anything Noam Chomsky, dive in, read some books. Naomi Klein, fantastic. But they openly have been talking about this their entire careers. And it's just simply the edifice of money.
What do you think it is about human nature where we have to have these, we have to have this bipolar. We definitely have a bipolar side.
We need the bipolar.
But it's Democrat, it's Republican, it's red, it's blue, it's black, it's white, do you know what I mean? It's these, there's always two opposing sides and you team up against each other. I'm convinced, and it's not like it's not my idea, but it's like there has to be, in my mind, some reason behind. I always look at those type of things in society and try to think of why we like what evolutionary purpose does that serve? Because I think everything is driven, even money, all of this stuff that you just got done talking about, I think serves an evolutionary purpose to continue to further the species. So everything is always about furthering the species and evolution, right? We're always trying to make sure that we continue to evolve and grow and expand. So what dynamic is it when it comes to the two things, right? I can't think of the word. It's not bipolar, but there's always this.
Well, it's tribal. If you talk about way, way back in the day, that's how you survived as a human. You were a part of a tribe.
Right.
If you weren't, you were out in the cold. It was too hard to grow food. It was too hard to hunt. You survived as a tribe.
But do you think inside of that tribe, like we'll just say the tribe is 100, 150 people or whatever, right? So it's a small tribe, a small nomadic traveling tribe of people, hunters and gatherers. Do you think within that tribe, they had some sort of either or system set up where you had part of the tribe that believed we needed to go west and part of the tribe that believed we needed to go east, and then they were constantly at battle with each other about which direction they would go? Or do you think they had some other sort of system in place and we didn't need that either or option, those two options?
I think that the thing you just described, that part of a tribe, that little divide, has been exploited. We've been played. And I'll explain. So you have Darwinism, you have that tribe, you have the whole evolutionary growth of a species, right? The ones that can survive do and pass on their genes to the next. And over millions of years, changes happen. That's really Darwinism.
Right.
That's it for evolution. And if you believe in that, you can't possibly believe in a talking snake and an apple in a garden and a literal devil. Like, you just can't. It just doesn't work. The timeline does not work. The years don't work. The fossils that we have that have been carbon dated disprove all of that. They show that there's just this whole long line of evolution. So that now we have this long, huge calendar of the existence of the planet, of Earth. And people are right here at the very end on the last day. That's it. We're only this tiny little bit after all the events. And in that tiny little bit, how long have we had cell phones, social media, and computers that can run algorithms that truly can predict what you're going to do based on the data you're given? It's less than a second on that kind of calendar. It is such a minuscule amount of time that we don't know the effects that all of these things have had. I mean, let's jump back into right after the formation of the country, right? You had the Salem witch trials. If you dive into that, there was this idea going around, the fanaticism with religion, and the idea that, oh, this person's a witch, and now they made this person get cholera. Let's burn her. And if she doesn't burn, we're gonna do these weird things that make no sense to prove an idea. And that's that tribe. Everybody got behind it, and all of a sudden that was the right. And we're doing it right now. We're watching it happen right now. You watch it with all this discussion about Russia, or you hear this, Joe Biden, raised my gas by 30 cents. No, he didn't. If you think that Joe Biden's getting cut a check for the 30 fucking cents that he personally raised your gas, you are wrong.
Yeah.
So wrong.
I think that, because I think about this often, and I think Steph and I've talked about it before on the podcast, but it's like, because I think I always try to break it down to this evolutionary standpoint and what would be the purpose behind my team and your team. And because religion did the same thing, right? I mean, essentially, life starts and then we have night and day. So we already have the two. We already have this thing set up where we have two opposing things. We have night and day. We have life and death.
Hot and cold.
Right. Yeah. We have these two things. And I think that it's, whether you want to call it like a fundamental law of our planet, of our civilization, of our existence, whatever, but there's there's two. There's left and right, black and white. There's all these, examples of it in the world and history and everything like that. Yeah. And I think we keep repeating that pattern over and over and over again because it creates safety within our tribe. Because if I can get more people to join the blue team, now my blue team is safer because we have more people, which means we can get more supplies, we can get more resources, we can protect each other against not just the red team, but whatever else might pop up, right?
Yeah, in the dark.
Yeah.
Because we're cavemen.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I think that's the sole purpose of it, is this whole idea that we're just creating more and more safety for what we believe to be right, what we believe to be correct, what we believe to be the, not just the correct path and the right way, but like our belief system. Because you see it in religion, you see religion and the way that religion divides us play out in all of these other ways too, right? Where that might not be religious in a sense, or it might not be a religion, but they just mirror each other in the way that they set up their...
Like a code of ethics.
And the structure and the hierarchy and the culture and everything like that. And it really, I think, is just to drive that, let's, circle the wagons and all be on the same team and we all agree on the same things. So then that way we're safe.
But that's kind of where I was going with the whole drive of technology and the whole drive of the way technology has shaped just people's psyche. So if you've ever dived very much into nature versus nurture, there's that whole argument that if you have a certain genome flipped a certain way, you will have cancer. But that's not true. If you eat certain foods, that will flip that genome, you will have cancer. And it isn't true. The same way, it all depends on, and this starts at conception, and then you have an embryo growing, and there's all of these stressors that affect that embryo. If the mother is getting starved, that will affect, and this is all a part of the evolution, that will affect that baby, and that's the nature versus nurture, and that's been going on forever. We've never lived on a planet where our focus was to truly end suffering, have education, have people feel safe, have shelter, have clothing, have a hospital to go to when they're hurt that you don't have to worry about a copay. You just go there because it's the right thing. And we have a better focus on education, a better focus on the arts, on that whole idea of you don't want to sit in front of a computer. Neither do I. But we fucking do it every day. Why?
For money.
For fucking money. Yeah. For what? To hand to the next guy so I can eat. Well, if I cut them out of the equation and we grow our food where we're at, you don't ever have to, that scarcity, that fear, the fear of the night, when you're educated and you understand that the sun moved to the other side of the planet and it's fucking dark and scary, there's no more demons in the dark. You can start to grow past the tribal instinct and that division. And it would have to come from that. And I think our social media especially has completely polarized that notion, that idea of us and them, that separation. And the best example in the US right now is Democrats and Republicans. I mean, 2024, I will be fucking amazed if there's not a civil war. I thought it was going to happen this time. I really did. You know that. We were driving around seeing those rednecks with those trucks, and I'm like, dear Lord, we're done. Yeah. We're done. We're fucked. And I'm already watching all the rallies and seeing all these things happening. And it's that technology. And it's not that you can point the finger at one person and say it's their fault. You can't just say it's Facebook or it's this or it's such an intricate thing that there's no way to see how it's going to kind of evolve. But I think that has drastically polarized because these algorithms are designed to show you what you want to see. Well, if what you want to see is Joe Biden's an idiot, what are they calling him right now? Sleepy Joe or whatever. If you watch a Sleepy Joe video on almost any social media, the algorithm wants you to keep watching. It doesn't care what you're watching. It just wants your attention. So it's going to keep feeding you the same thing. That's that whole echo chamber that I know you know what it is. The big echo chamber of you get in that room and you start hearing all the stuff you like. You're like, yeah, fuck him. get them. They're horrible. They're the enemy.
I think they've done something recently. I was going to talk to Steph about this because unfortunately I'm on social media way too much. And I'm totally aware of it, and I burn myself out, and then somehow, it's straight up a drug. It's straight up addiction, because
it is.
I'll be fully aware of the fact that I'm like, fuck, I hate this. I'm literally doing nothing on this fucking thing right now. I don't care about anything that I'm looking at. I don't care about none of it. And then I put my phone down, and 2 minutes later, I pick it back up, and I keep going through it. And I still know. I mean, it's like, I remember when we used to smoke, it would be the same thing where it's like, I don't want a cigarette right now. Why am I smoking? And then I just sit there and
one person
smoke.
Sparks up.
Right. And
everybody does.
It never mattered. Because I was just addicted to it.
Yeah.
But I think they did something recently with the algorithm, because I will be scrolling through, I don't know what it is on Instagram, if it's Reels or Instagram TV. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm scrolling through something, and suddenly I'm getting all of this shit that is aggravating me, right? Because that's part of their algorithm too, where they don't show you stuff that you agree with. I mean, they do to a certain extent, right? But they show you the stuff that you disagree with, because that's going to get more engagement, and you're going to watch more, and you're going to react more, and you're going to share more. You're going to be like, look at this motherfucker.
And that's right? How smart this technology is.
But it's something, because I didn't used to get that. I used to just get more shit of, I used to get jujitsu, MMA. I used to get just more stuff that I like. But suddenly I'm getting 3% of what I like.
And then slapped in the face.
And then they sneak something in there. And next thing I know, I'm 5 videos down watching Ben Shapiro or some other fucking person talking about all of this shit. And I'm like, how in the fuck did I get here? Because I'm so aware of how they work in a sense, and I understand it. And it's not like I don't think that those algorithms are real. I totally am completely a believer that they're fucking controlling what I'm seeing, and it's
numbers. It's
all
just
money.
Mathematical numbers. Yeah. That's all it is.
It's just keeping me there for the ad revenue.
Exactly.
And but they did something recently, I think, and it's frustrating. And so I'm trying to I hack it in a sense.
Well, and I bitch, I'm just sitting there and whatever I'm doing, because the only social media I have is Facebook, and I am so close to just getting rid of it again. But I don't plaster all my crap. I don't tell you where I'm at or what I'm doing. The more notifications I get, the more I turn it off, because I just get pissed, because I'm just like, no, I don't fucking care. I'm sitting here watching this video, and I go to the next one, and it is this chick putting on makeup in the mirror, telling me stories about some serial killer.
Right. And that's totally what you're into.
And she's totally probably making half the shit up, or she's reading it out of these totally fake places. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself as I'm watching this, there are people who truly believe that this is real. This is news.
Right.
And this chick is so fucking smart. And I'm like, we have totally lost the ability to have true, independent, journalism because of profit.
I think that it's because I go back to this thing of what is the driving force behind all of it? So the separation that we're experiencing in the country right now, whether it's Republican and Democrat, or just this complete divide that they keep feeding, right? And they keep feeding it with social media,
so let me ask,
with the news. Go ahead.
Who is they? You've referenced they. Who is they?
I don't think it's
for you.
Yeah, for me, it's just literally. I think it's just society. I think it's the makeup of us, really.
You think it's just a culmination of the way the whole system has come to be?
Yeah. I don't think it's an individual. I don't think it's government. I don't think it's Facebook. I don't think it's, the top 0.5% of money. I don't think it's the 5 richest people in the. I think it's just society.
I have an idea for this.
Let's hear it.
And while you're on it, I just want to get it out, because it's like a total epiphany. The they, for me, I don't think that it's like you're saying it is one little group of these super rich people that just walk around the cane going, like Mr. Burns, do it.
Yeah.
I think it is the blindness of the society, because we are so profit driven. A company doesn't care who it hurts or what the cost is, as long as there's profit for the shareholders. That is the whole purpose of a company. And if you aren't doing that, you get fired if you're in that company. That whole corporation idea is a person, and we're all about profit. It's that blindness to the costs of what you're doing based on profit. I think that right there, that teaching point, like we almost teach our kids that it's good to be greedy. You should want more. Win, 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 more, more, more. And it's ingrained in us, and that's that nature versus nurture. If we could knock that equation out over time, that would start to settle down. It'll settle back down. I think that tribal instinct would always be there. But I think you can't point it at a certain person. You can't just say, Zuckerberg, you fuck,
Yeah, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault because he is a part of this machine. If he does not turn profit, he is not going to be in the job anymore, and they'll get somebody who will.
See, I think part of the machine is society, is just this big collective set of societal norms, beliefs, agreements that we all kind of sign up for to live in current modern day society. And that machine is driven by profits and driven by money. And we, like you said, we're all part of it. We're all slaves to it.
Yeah.
So we all agree upon that. The people that don't agree to that, they leave. They get out.
Yeah.
They're the ones that go build their cabin up in the woods all by themselves and live completely sustainably.
Ted Kaczynski,
right?
They mail some rice into somebody.
But that's the thing that we are led to believe, that's a crazy person.
That's the cell. Yeah.
The crazy person leaves society. I'm not saying Ted Kaczynski wasn't crazy, but what I'm saying is that's the narrative that the machine feeds us, is that if you're going to go live in the fucking woods by yourself in a fucking cabin, you must be fucking crazy.
Why would you not want to have all these things?
Why would you not want to be a part of this fucking machine, right? This is what's safe. And that's what we think. This is what's safe. That's what stops me from taking my family and selling this house that we have and going and living somewhere on a plot of land and figuring it out, right? Because I'm scared to do that because I don't think we'll be safe. I'm not saying that we're going to get attacked by bears or something, but it's like we have comfort here. We have, electricity. It's cold outside today and it's raining. We don't have to worry about those things because we're inside of our house, all of those things. But the reality is, like, if suddenly I woke up tomorrow and everything had changed and now I have to start planting vegetables in my backyard in order to survive and collect this rainwater that's falling, right? I'm pretty sure that I'd be okay.
But that's the point, and this will double back to what we talked about before with peak oil. I think that is coming. And I truly, the point you just described is where I'm at. The whole point of just saying, I'm not playing this game. You can deal me cards, but I'm out.
But see, you're still playing it.
I still have to play it.
But that's the mindset.
But I'm teetering. I'm fucking teetering. And I know you've been teetering. Like,
totally.
I met so many people in Hawaii, so many people that were like, I got this crappy old van. I just sleep on the beach, man.
Yeah.
Like, people help me out. I got some food. I serve. They'll go over there and they'll help do little odd jobs here and there just to get enough to get a little bit of food. Like, they don't care about the next new flashiest iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
They're not checking their fucking status update or who this friend request is from. They could give two fucks. They have no idea.
So I have a solution.
Uh-oh.
To fix this machine.
Okay.
Because it's something that we created, right? It's what society created over the course of history in order to keep us safe. Because I want to keep my family, my loved ones safe, right? Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that everybody that I love and care about is safe. So that's why we have created this big thing, and now it's just a fucking snowball rolling down the hill, and it's unstoppable, it seems like, right? And the divide that we're experiencing is innate in human nature. It's something that we have built into our DNA, this either or, because of night and day, life and death. Mm-hmm. It's something that we just have. So we resonate with it so much, and we gravitate towards the places that we feel like we're going to be safest and towards the people that we feel the safest with. So all we have to do is simply shift and agree that, because I think about this all the time. We live in Utah, and like Steph and I are definitely not your standard Utahn, right? We don't really subscribe. We're not Republican. We aren't religious. We're pretty free thinking and behave in a certain way, right? Like, we don't fit the mold of what our culture and society here in Utah is. And we see people in this town and people in this state that scare us in a sense with their thoughts and their beliefs and their actions and their choices and the way that they represent themselves. And they're very clearly on the other side of where we're at. However, I know a lot of them, like personally, they're not strangers. I know who they are. They're my neighbors. They're my friends. They're the people that I talk to down at the grocery store. So we just have to realize that those things that we use to label ourselves as this or that separate us, those are just labels, right? I mean, the idea is we just have to accept that we're really more similar than we are different. And I can allow that person over there to think and feel and experience all those things that they want to. And it doesn't infringe upon me doing the same thing. And we can meet in the middle so that divide can disappear. And it's not to say we still don't need it evolutionarily, and we still need to kind of propagate the species and continue to grow and evolve. But we just need to accept the fact that, like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how we get everybody on the same page of, like, because that divide it's fake. It's not real.
I don't think you can, as long as you have the edifice of profit. As long as money is the smoke and mirrors.
But money just creates, money represents safety. That's what money represents.
It doesn't, though.
At the base level, because if you think about the people at the top that are only driven by profit, I don't think that those are evil people, and I don't think that those are bad people. I think that those people are good people that are trying to keep their loved ones safe, and they think the way to do it is by having more money. I really do. And it's not to say there aren't fucking maniacal, crazy,
sociopaths,
billionaires, right?
Yeah, no, but what I mean is, when the entire system is built with the idea of profit, and not looking at this ball and saying there's only so much, and we have enough to spread it around so that everyone is safe. There's no more hoarding. Doesn't exist. There's no more black problems. There's no more Black Lives Matter. There's no more women's problems or Muslim or anything. There's simply human problems. When we get to that point and we don't have to talk about this horse shit anymore, then we stand a chance. Right now we don't. We are so divided on so many levels, and it's not just that innate, need. It's on every single level. We're separated. Black, white, whether you have tattoos or you don't. You believe in this God or you believe in the wrong God, or you don't believe in any God. Well, you're them, we're us, you're an outsider. And as long as we still have that crap and we don't just look at it like, and it's not even just humans. It's the whole ecosystem. When we look at it like, I'm a human, I'm entitled to all these things, but I can murder everything I want to fucking see and shoot, that idea is broken. If you have to go out and hunt like you would in nature to survive, that is one thing. When you do it to slap a head on your fucking wall, that's just dumb. And that's just me. And that's not to say I'm going to go and infringe on someone's rights. It's simply, we need to grow the fuck up. That's it. We need to grow up. Because if we don't, the planet is literally just going to cook. It's going to be stewing in pollution, and it's going to cook, and then people are going to die. And a lot of people are going to die. As soon as there isn't the fuel to create the food to feed all these people, you're going to have mass famine. And you're going to see that dollar sitting in someone's bank account. Doesn't matter how many billions you have, it won't fucking matter. It just won't. Like, people are going to be eating each other. And I think that day is coming. I don't think it's tomorrow. It probably honestly won't even be in my own lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think it's in our
kids' lifetime. But I think
it
will
either.
It would be pushing it for our kids to see that huge, drop.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see that shift. It's just going to happen. You're going to have people migrating to crazy places they've never been because it's too hot to live in California and Utah and all these places. Because you're already seeing the drought. You can't argue with that. It's not turning around. It's only getting hotter. And it does sound crazy until you look at the actual science, and then you go, it is coming, and we've known it's been coming for fucking decades, and we don't do anything about it because people want to make money
because of profits.
Same
thing like the electric car, right? They could have been making them back at the turn of the century, but they stuck that in a drawer. And
because they needed to generate profits, not only for the automobile industry, but the oil industry. And we're entitled to make profits because we are a corporation. So you can't infringe on that.
Yeah.
And that's a broken plan, because even electric cars and windmills and these things, they're not going to save us. No one ever talks about the green, renewable energies, but they don't talk about how much oil goes into each one of those batteries to make all of the parts, to have an electric car, to make those solar panels. A lot of fucking oil.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't a clean car.
No.
Right. You plug an electric car in
and charge it.
Yeah.
And where's that power coming
exactly.
from? Sometimes it's coal. You're in China, it's definitely fucking coal.
Yeah. Well, the majority of the time it's coal.
Yeah.
Right.
Or natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're up north, it might be fracking, which is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Offshore drilling, which is fucking horrible. Like, these ideas, the way we've lived so comfortable and consumed so much, that will have to break. We will have to understand that, for me as a person,
I think it's the natural cycle of society. I think it's the natural cycle of the human race. I don't think this is the first time that we've been this technologically advanced
on this planet.
I really don't.
I could see if you want to answer that age-old question of why, like what's the purpose of life?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really it. Is there's all this shit thrown through the entire universe. It might land on this planet that's perfectly far away from a sun, that it can support life. And here's your shot, kid. You might make it off, you might not.
Yeah.
If you don't, you don't. And guess what? That place will cook and squish, and there'll be another one in a few, billion years.
I think that what happens is it just gets washed away. So the any evidence of an advanced technological society or culture or human race on this planet is eventually washed away. Like, if you think about today, all the technology that we have and all the information that we have and this vast amount of knowledge and knowingness and how technologically advanced we are, if suddenly we lost electricity and we never got it back,
you'd revert.
All of that shit is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Our little USB drive or our, those huge buildings that house all of the servers and all of this data and all this information and everything like that. As soon as we don't have electricity to run those things, those just become fucking paperweights that we can't access any of the information on. And then you fast forward. I mean, Mother Nature, the planet, just fucking wind, rain, snow, fire, pressure, heat, eventually
time
ruins
oxidation.
Everything, right?
It's designed to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I totally think that we have done this before, and we've probably been more technologically advanced than we are today. But somehow we're foolish enough, and because we are still just monkeys, that we think we're the smartest thing that's ever.
This is the best time it's ever going to be. Right? And then like 20 years from now, they're like, you used to have a cord on your phone?
And so I'm totally convinced that we've been here before, and we've actually been like far more advanced than we are today. But all signs of that civilization are gone. And it's not like, well, eventually we'll discover it, or some archaeologist will dig up, some art of it. No, it's gone, because that's what happens over the course of time, right? Through enough ice ages, through enough just natural cycle of the planet, healing, dying, burning, melting, pressure, it's just fucking gone.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense to me that it's like, oh yeah, we have no information from 10,000 years ago. And
that's probably what happened on Mercury, I think.
You think so?
Yeah. Humans were there, and they
they fucked it all
They
up.
fucking drove their asses all over the country, just, eating and shitting and making messes. And now it's really red and hot, and you can't live there. And that's where we're headed. It's going to be hot and shitty.
So I got one question for you before we close out, because we got to wrap up. I was hanging out with some friends of mine recently, and these were guys that I grew up with. So we've been friends for a really long time. But I posed the question in regards to a couple of different areas of life, like being an adult, being a father, being married, just a couple of those kind of, not milestones, but places that you're at in your life today. So where you're at today in your life, right? You're a father, you're a husband, obviously you're an adult, pick one. It doesn't matter which one, whichever one you want. But what is way harder than you thought it like ever would be? So growing up, we have this idea of what it's going to be like when I'm an adult, or the type of dad I'm going to be, or what it's going to be like to have kids, or when I get married one day, it's going to look like this and it's going to be this. What is so vastly fucking different? Like, what's way harder than you ever thought it would be?
That is easy. That's so fucking easy of an easy question. It's being a fucking employee. Being somebody's employee and working, like from the time I turned like barely 16, I started working. And I'm 38 and I'm still fucking working. Like, fuck you. Like, that sucks so bad. That is the hardest. Because in my mind, I was like, you know, and that point, I was in a rock band. I was a singer. I had the dreadlocks, and I was like, we were going to go on tour, and we were going to get signed, and we were going to be rock stars and be rich and just tour all the time. It was going to be a big party all the time. And that was going to be my job. Nope. And it's just way shittier because you just deal with stuff you don't want to deal with, and people tell you what to do, or you have to answer these fucking emails. Like, there's just so much horseshit with being somebody's employee and paying your bills like an adult.
Do you think, because I thought I was going to be rich and famous, like I was going to be an actor. I had it all figured out in my head. I didn't actually do anything to achieve this imaginary goal that I created, but I had it all figured out. And by the time I was 30, I was going to have my first Oscar. It was going to be for screenwriting. So I was going to write, very similar to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I was going to write my own screenplay and star in it, right? And that was going to give me my first Oscar, which was going to be for screenwriting. And then my second Oscar, sometime in my 30s, I was going to get, a few years, I was going to get my second one for acting. And then later on in life, maybe in my 40s or 50s, I'd get my third Oscar for directing. But throughout all of that, obviously, I was going to be wealthy and I was going to be famous and life was just going to be really fucking easy. And obviously, it's not that, right? You don't see an Oscar sitting on the table over here.
It might as fucking well be, honestly.
But I wonder if everybody has that thing where they think that something is going to happen so that they don't struggle in life and that life's going to be easier, whether they're the rock star or the actor or they're famous or they're rich or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they're going to find something that is going to make things easy for them. So they're not going to have to work, right?
I'm going to love every day.
Right. I'm not going to have to go work a shitty job. I'm going to be doing these other things. I might have to work a shitty job for a few years when I'm young, right, to get my foot in the door. But then eventually, 40. I bet everybody has that to some extent.
And I think it all comes down to where you're from. Because I see, and I have to keep saying this, we're from Utah. So I see these kids, and they want to get married and start popping out babies, and they think it's going to be one thing. And all of a sudden, this young girl who got sealed in the temple, she married the love of her life. She knew how it was going to end with their celestial names, for all eternity. And then they're divorced and she's a single mom working at fucking Burger King.
Yeah, with 5 kids.
Slap. Like, I think that probably hits a lot on both sides. Like, you think marriage is one thing, you realize how much fucking work it is. And like, infuriating.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. And you always have your best friend there to just pester the shit out of.
Hopefully.
And you might even get them naked too, which makes it even cooler.
If you're lucky,
You're lucky, you play your cards right. Yeah. I think marriage is up there. For me, it's the working. It's the being that guy that works.
I hadn't thought about that one.
That was the one, because, we all have the stuff we like to do, and just like everything, there's the ups and downs of being a parent. Sometimes it's like the most rewarding shit, and it can be the stupidest thing. It can be that one birthday present, or Father's Day is just fantastic. That makes up for all the shitty times.
Yeah.
When you're married, like, there's the lows when it sucks ass, and there's the times when it's just great. But working fucking sucks. Like, it's just all the time.
Yeah, it's a grind.
It is. It is. No one wakes up and just says, I really want to go do shit for someone else to make them money.
Mm-hmm. Even when it's shit that you like. Like, I've had plenty of jobs that I've enjoyed over the years and that I've liked, and it's still like, fuck.
And I think that's what I'm looking for. Whether that's in this other EMS job, because even right now, and I was thinking about this last night, and that's what kind of pushed me to apply today. Because it was today, this afternoon. I just got on, found it was like, this job's been posted off and on for like a year. So I know they're hard up. And I'm like, I don't love this. You know, like I'm taking calls. Most of the people I'm talking to are pretty cool. They're nice to me, you know, but I'm sitting there point and click and just thinking, doing all this tech shit. And I'm like, you know, humans aren't meant to do this. I should be out fishing somewhere. You know, I should be painting something, you know, or reading a book. Like that's my thing right now, is reading as much as I can, because I just love reading. It's so much better. It's tangible. You're touching it. Everybody's on their phones all the time. Nobody reads a goddamn book. And I'm like, it's going to be a lost art at some point, the actual written word. And yeah.
I have one more question, then we got to wrap, because we really do.
You're just going to turn this into 2 episodes and just keep rolling.
Could you imagine because you have this massive skill set that you've like cultivated and gained over the past 13, 14 years of your career, right? In EMS. How could you take that skill set and shift it and transition it and create something that's all your own that will then make you money? So what is something that you could offer the world? You could offer a client, a customer, somebody would come to you, something you could create, something you could build, something that you could literally take this massive amount of skill that you have and make something that's your own and put that out into the world, so that you don't have to go back and work for somebody else and make somebody else fucking money, because you have a huge skill set. So how can we apply that somewhere else and then suddenly create something out of that that's all yours, that you then get to drive? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, but I don't know how you would get it to exist. That's the hardest part.
That's the tricky part.
Because for me, it would be taking these systems that have this broken culture, and you have that bad apple that's really negative, or, you know, piss poor management, which is 90% of all of it, is just horrible management. And taking the experience I have on being both sides and knowing how it is to have things that need to get done, but also having I'm the guy that has to do it, and showing appreciation for your employees and being the person that's being appreciated, like being on both sides, trying to get that talent acquisition and actually have people be passionate about what they're doing and drive up their wages. Because that to me is the only other answer, is if you start driving up wages and you put a cap on it. That's the only other way with this whole money system. Aside from completely abolishing money, the only other answer would be to put caps on it. Like, you seriously cannot make more than like $300,000 a year, period. You can't. You don't need more than that. That's a lot of fucking money. And it's capped.
Jordan Peterson says it's 60,000.
And that's what I mean. Like 300 is like being ridiculous.
Yeah, anything over $60,000 does not improve quality of life.
No.
That's what he says.
If you can heat your home, like you said, you have shelter, you have clothing, food. If you could go to the hospital when you need to, and go to school and have access to books and all these things, what the fuck do you need all that money for? Like, truly, it's just the ego. Yeah. And it's just another different kind of t-shirt for somebody else. And for me, that would be the only other way, is cap wages, bump everybody else up, so it's just even playing field, or get rid of the money. I mean, for me, I don't really put a lot of emphasis on the money making. You know, the reason I'm even doing IT is because I was looking at it going, what job can I do that I can make a lot of money at, that isn't like, you know, dealing with blood and guts and the same old shit? And that's where I went.
Yeah, but what if we break away from that idea that you're going to go work for somebody else, and then we go into this new place where you make something that is just yours? So now you're working for yourself. Think about the skill set that you have when it comes to being a medic, and all of that vast knowledge that you have. How could you consolidate and condense that knowledge so that you could then give that to a customer? So then somebody would come to you to learn something. So whether it's like outdoor survival, you know, 2.0. So now when I'm in the backwoods, I know how to put a tourniquet on. I know how to stop bleeding. I know how to do, you know, whatever it is. And that's just one idea, one example of something that you could take all of this information that you have and channel it into something that you could then offer people and put out there. Because people will pay for anything. I mean, that's fucking been proven, right?
Yeah.
So there's no reason why people shouldn't be paying you for what you have. You have a massive skill set that you can offer. It's just figuring out not how to package it, but how to create it and how to make that thing that you really want to make. A product. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing, right? We're not going to design a brand new water bottle or something, but you yourself as the product, your knowledge, your insight, your ability, your skill set, everything that you've done over the past decade, that is the product that you're selling. Have you thought about that?
No.
Next week on the Energy is Love podcast. Thank you, Kory. It was a lot of fun. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. No, I love coming up.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back.
A lot of fucks.
All the fucks. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I've totally spaced out. I usually say something here at the end, and I don't remember what it is, but enjoy.
Isn't there some sort of energy bar you need to plug? We got to plug some stuff, right?
Yeah, we usually do that in the beginning. We'll do a little promo for the beginning, and we'll plug something. But yeah, go to our website and look at the sponsors tab. You can click on that and find some information about our sponsors and buy something. Spend some money, perpetuate this fucking insane machine of
the modern slavery.
Yeah.
Go buy things.
Go do your part and send us some of it so that we can continue to spin our end of the machine.